Hello, everybody. If you can take your seats, I apologize for being a little late. I forgot about the log jam, and I think there are a number of us that may have done so. But we are running just a few minutes late. It's always kind of nice to take time to get to say hi to everyone, though. As we start to sit and gather, I just want to point out a few things. One is that we have these amazing new microphones up here, thanks to Sula Visuals, our wonderful folks that have been coming from the county to help us with all of this. I want to make sure that you can all hear me well.
You may have to move it just a little bit towards you. It's okay, thing. You can move it as much as you want. That's the whole point of these microphones. Grab them, move them, and then you're good. Make sure and aim it at your mouth, and then you should be good. And we can hear you on Zoom as well.
Great. So how about now? Can everyone in the back hear me? Good? Okay, perfect. Then we will get ready to start. So I am very happy to be here today. Again, we are able to do this in person as well as by Zoom or even on your telephone in a webinar format. So this really means that everybody can participate in these meetings, and it makes a nice difference for people. But we wouldn't be able to do this as well if we didn't have the Big Sur Lodge hosting us, and I always am very thankful to them for the ability that we have to gather here in such a lovely place that everyone's familiar with. So thank you again, everyone, for being here, and I'd like to do a roll call. So I will call out the organization, and if the member who's present can please say your name and your role with the organization. Okay, so here we go. Uh-oh. I'm just, no, I'm Big Sur resident, North Coast. Just say Martha Carstens. That is who you are. Big Sur resident, South Coast.
Bree Harlan.
Okay, this is going to take a while. I can see that. Big Sur Chamber of Commerce.
Kirk Gaffel, present.
Community Association of Big Sur.
Patty Cronland.
County of Monterey Planning Department.
Melanie Beretti, Chief of Planning.
Monterey Peninsula Regional Park District.
Ranger Joseph Narvaez in here for my boss, Supervising Ranger Kane Camarillo, Regional Park District.
Thank you for being with us. California Coastal Commission. Thank you. Caltrans.
John Mulaney.
There he is. California State Parks and Recreation.
Rachel Pitts, I'm a supervising ranger standing in for Superintendent Brent Marshall.
Thank you. Monterey Bay National Marine Sanctuary.
Good morning. I'm Lisa Long, superintendent.
Thank you. United States Forest Service.
Good morning, Jeannie Dawson, Deputy Forest Supervisor on the Los Padres National Forest.
Thank you. The 5th District's Monterey County Board of Supervisors. That would be me, Mary Adams. The 30th District, California State Assembly.
Mauricio Arias here on behalf of Assembly Member Don Addis.
17th District, California State Senate.
Isabel Mesa, I'm here on behalf of State Senator John Laird.
And the 19th District, United States Congress.
Emmanuel Garcia, I'm here on behalf of Congressman Jimmy Panetta. I'm his district director.
Thank you. Thank you all so much for being with us here today. I will review the draft action minutes from our last meeting in June, and you'll notice that these are action minutes, but we have included a link to the recording, which is embedded in the document that you received. Has everyone had an opportunity to review those minutes? And if yes, I would like to entertain a motion to approve the minutes.
So moved.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you very much. All in favor?
I'm sorry, I was trying to figure out when I should best raise my hand on there. I
Yes.
had a question regarding it. I'm sorry, you said, so if we wanted to go back where it says comments for everybody, after everybody's name in there, there would then be what their comments were?
No. We'll be doing the comments at the end of the meeting, in the normal agenda.
No, but in the minutes, after, like Marcus Foster says comments, after so-and-so says comments, it doesn't say what they said.
If you
Either that or
go,
I missed it. So that's the link then?
yes, you
Okay.
go to the link and the whole thing is
Okay,
there.
that's there.
So we did what is just called action minutes, which is the critical legal meat of the meeting.
Okay.
So, but it really saves a lot of time and effort for people to have to transcribe everything, take and then transcribe everything. So that's why we did it with the link, so you'll be able to hear everybody's comments.
And then two other things. After, for example, your agency or Panetta's agency, it didn't say who was speaking. So I would assume it was Congressman Panetta speaking, but the name wasn't after that on maybe 4 of the agencies and departments. So usually it says Mary Adams, for example.
Mary Adams made a motion.
That wasn't there, so it could have been anybody speaking. I didn't know.
That's a really good thing for us to know and to remember as far as the minutes go, so that we can ensure that we say who made the motion and who made the second.
And then lastly, Paul, I'm going to probably butcher his name, Amend, from the fire brigade, that was misspelled there. Our friend who provides all our coffee.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, got that. All righty, so we have a motion on the floor to approve the minutes and a second. So all in favor, please say aye. Any opposed? Great, so we will approve the draft minutes and they will become the actual minutes. And now we have the opportunity for public comment. So if this is an opportunity for people to speak to anything that is not on today's agenda. And you'll have 3 minutes, and we have our timekeeper over here who will keep us all in order. If you would state your name and then make your comments.
Good morning. Thank you for this opportunity to speak. My name is Marcus Foster. I'm a resident of Big Sur. I'm the co-founder of Keep Big Sur Wild, and our main objective with our group is to preserve our incredible land use plan, and also to make sure that the policies of the plan that have protected this place for decades are enforced by our county and our coastal commission. The founders that drafted the land use plan consisted of local residents, county leaders, coastal commission that certified the plan. And back then, it started in the late 70s. Draft was completed in 1980. The generation before me was so smart in looking into the future and recognizing how do we make this highway accessible for the most amount of people, and also recognizing that visitation, and it even says this in the plan, basically doubles every 20 to 25 years, which is pretty much right on. And this is even before any concept of social media came about. The main objectives really was to limit development, and that would be residential, commercial, and even recreational. And one of the policies, or one of the objectives that they used was visual access, which really, it's a concept that doesn't register with today's coastal commission, but it's critically important to keep this highway open for scenic recreational driving, the main activity for visitation, and to basically keep it an enjoyable experience. And what we have now is we have all these increased recreational development, particularly in the Garrapata State Park area, and there's even more development going on there on the very north end. And it just leads to all these choke points along Highway 1. And that's the biggest impact of driving this highway. And when you talk about over-tourism, it's really because the highway is becoming increasingly congested. I don't know how we put that genie back in the bottle of people coming down and going into a turnout, taking some pictures and moving along. And that's the way to keep this highway open, moving on into the future if we double visitation in another 25 years. A perfect example is Little Sur, Point Sur area. Beautiful, one of the most beautiful scenic areas on the whole coast. The Coastal Commission uses a picture of Little Sur Beach. That's visual access, and there's no issues on the highway there. But when we keep creating destination recreational activities and enhancing and increasing these facilities without adequate, safe shoulder parking, we're just going to continue to make choke points along Highway 1. Thank you.
Thanks. I have a feeling people might not be able to hear the alarm. Maybe we can turn it up a little bit. And I will also ask if you would give like a 5 or 10 second warning sort of thing. She's finally, it's the last meeting I'm going to chair. I'll be here for the December meeting, but finally I'm getting this down. Yeah.
Thank you for the opportunity to speak. I wanted to introduce or reintroduce myself. I'm Matt Glazer. My day job is the General Manager and Executive Director of Regents. I'm currently serving on the board of Big Sur Fire. I'm on the Big Sur Byways Commission, and I serve on the advisory board of the Weston Call Fund. All of that to say, I am deeply involved in a lot of things in Big Sur, and I've qualified to be on the ballot for November to run for the Carmel Unified School District, Trustee Area 3, representing the Big Sur area and the coastal and the coast, and you have to look at the map once you get into Carmel, what that covers. But I'm here to say, please vote for me. Consider this is the first time in the history of Carmel Unified School District that the district is being elected in trustee areas, subdivided trustee areas, instead of at large. It's an opportunity to comply with the California Voting Rights Act and gain equal representation throughout the district and representing a wide variety of demographics across the area. So I'm really excited at the opportunity. I'm the parent of 2 small children that go to Captain Cooper, and of course the husband of my wife went to Carmel Unified School District from kindergarten through high school. So November 5th is the election. You will see my name under Trustee Area 3 if you live in the area. You will see you only have the chance to vote for 2 seats on the Carmel Unified School District, 1 at-large seat and the 1 trustee area. So again, I'm Matt Glazer. If you have any questions for me, don't hesitate to reach out. You can find me at glazerforcusd3.com. Okay, thank you so much for the opportunity.
Thank you very much. Another good reason to be sure to vote.
Steve Beck, local resident. As you may have heard, there are a lot of people that live on the Big Sur coast that are concerned with invasive plants, particularly the jubata. But once you get past that, then there are people that say, "Meh, you know, nothing you can do about that. Nature's going to take its course." Well, I think we have proof now that nature doesn't have to take its course in that way. The largest area of pampas grass between here and Carmel Highlands is on Hurricane Point. And that's been sprayed recently with great spraying. I mean, difficult spraying, but really well done to protect the native plants and just focus on the pampas. So those of you that came from town, on your way back, take a look. This is proof that it's possible to stop the spread of pampas jubata grass. There are areas on the south coast, that are going to be more difficult. But again, I just think it's a great thing for all that were involved in doing this to show us that it's possible to stop the spread. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yes.
Who did the spraying,
Steve,
Steve?
can you tell us, do you know who did the spraying?
I didn't know if it's Caltrans or if it's Wild or...
I think it's a bit of a mystery. Maybe Caltrans could speak to it. I mean, what I've heard is that it was, well, John, you should speak to it.
Sorry.
If it's the location around El Sur Ranch, we worked with Monterey County Resource Conservation District and provided some assistance. It was a joint effort, if that's kind of in the area you're talking about. And it was a successful partnership and operation. And in general, we have our maintenance crews. Of course, as I said before, we have a small ribbon of land that we own as Highway 1. And so in general, our maintenance crews are out also doing vegetation management along the way. And we have ongoing conversations in all of our construction zones for projects and the need to keep an eye on invasives and take action as needed. yeah, we were part of it. We were certainly not the only partner, but part of that.
Good. Thank you. Thanks very much. Thank you, Steve, for the report.
Hello, my name is Lucas Handy. I'm from Tree Bones Resort on the south coast of Big Sur. My parents purchased the Tree Bones property in the 80s, and soon after the land was rezoned to visitors serving commercial. Since then, my family has poured everything that we have into creating what Tree Bones Resort is today. And I'm proud to say that in November, we will be celebrating 20 years of not just serving the visitors of Big Sur, but also serving the community of Big Sur. My family has volunteered years to various boards and to Big Sur Fire. I graduated from Pacific Valley School in 2009, and we have young families living at Tree Bones that will also attend the school. In those 20 years, we've experienced everything Big Sur has to offer, and we've seen the evolution of the community. Obviously, the condition of Highway 1 is not good, but it's nothing new. Recently, we've felt a shift in the urgency to keep Highway 1 open. And the South Coast, with only a few businesses relying on visiting public, we feel unheard and forgotten. We feel that the sense of urgency that occurs when the northern coast of Big Sur experiences a catastrophic highway event demands the priority to get one lane open as soon as possible. Whereas on the South Coast, that urgency and priority does not feel equal. Paul's Slide was a good example. It was crossable by vehicle for most of the year before it was opened, and it wasn't fully opened to the public until the lines were painted down the middle. Back then, and still today, it's an 8-hour round trip journey to come here to the North Coast. We've done this trip dozens of times, but our guests from the North don't always make that trip. Yesterday I made the journey here to the North Coast, and today I'm representing the businesses and the residents on the South Coast when I ask the people in power to prioritize the South Coast and the opening of Highway 1 like you do on the North Coast. I've personally seen the current condition of Regent Slide, and I'm not asking for a miracle, but we are begging for everyone to come together as soon as you can to open even one lane as soon as possible. We're asking for the same amount of urgency that was given to the recent Rocky Creek situation, and we've seen the result when people come together as a community to move mountains, and we're asking for that same effort to the south. There seems to be a policy that waits for yellow stripes to be placed on the road before the highway is fully opened. But every day that highway remains closed, the businesses, and especially the community members to the south, are suffering. I'm thankful for the men and women working on the highway to keep us all safe, but I'm begging for the people in power to keep us and the visiting public at the very front of their minds. Please don't wait for both lanes to be ready. Please give us even limited access to the highway with one lane or an alternative as soon as possible. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Is there any other member of the public who wishes to comment on anything that's not on today's agenda? Seeing no one, I'm not sure if we would be able to see if there was anyone online with a question or comments. Great, thank you very much. Okay. All right, thank you. So with that, I'm going to close public comment and start into new business, and what an appropriate time to do it. The first item on our new business is the Caltrans Regent Slide Technical Update. And I want to thank Caltrans very much for taking the time to put a video together for us. The highway, as we all know, and we've just heard, is prone to landslides, and this video is going to share a perspective that we don't often get to see. So we'll go ahead and see the video, and then we'll come back to see if there are any questions or comments from the BISMAC members and then from the public. So I think we're ready to roll.
And when we, we're thinking about the update to bring, for our big slide at Regents, we were kind of starting crafting, the PowerPoint that you probably would get used to seeing. And then we went from there thinking, what if we took some of our images and we created something more dynamic, Just as dynamic as the Earth is moving up there, we thought maybe it'd be more moving to see and get a perspective in more of a video. So that said, we'll go ahead and play the video. It's about 5 minutes long, and happy to have any conversation after that.
On February 9th, 2024, a large landslide initiated approximately 450 feet above Highway 1. The landslide covered both lanes of the highway, prompting Caltrans to initiate an emergency project to remove the landslide from the top down. top-down landslide removal projects begin at the top of the landslide. The first task for the contractor was to pioneer access to the area above and behind the landslide. From there, an excavation can begin by establishing a cut slope, shown here in blue. Below the cut slope, equipment excavates slide material sitting on the excavation bench. As the bench proceeds down, the height of the cut slope grows, and the bench moves down toward the highway, eventually removing the entirety of the displaced slide material while working safely on a flat excavation surface. Top-down excavation of the landslide continued through April, May, June, and into early July, with the cut slope height growing and the bench proceeding down toward the highway. In mid-July, two features became apparent below the excavation bench. In the southern chute, a talus pile accumulated. Below the northern chute, a rocky, blocky layer appeared, threatening the stability of the excavation bench and leading to edge failures where people and equipment were working. It was deemed unsafe to work above the blocky rock layer exposed in the northern chute. Unpredictable failures compromised the stability of the bench where people and equipment were no longer safe. Caltrans retreated behind the excavation and cut to begin construction of a new cut shown in yellow behind the original cut slope in blue. The offset nature of the new cut slope would gain bench width, allowing the contractor to safely sit on the excavation bench above the blocky rock layer and continue to excavate while in a safe and stable position. Excavation of the new cut and bench behind the old cut and bench proceeded into mid-August, when a new feature appeared. A large landslide had been triggered by removing the material between the old cut and new cut, as evidenced by a large headscarp that appeared above the work area and a landslide toe that became apparent in the old cut slope. Caltrans paused work to study the behavior and characterize the landslide. By connecting these surface features, the aerial extents of the landslide were determined, and at this point, Caltrans began a subsurface investigation to determine the depth of landsliding. 3 slope inclinometers were installed, 2 through the body of the slide, and 1 located in an area above the observed movement. By studying the surface and subsurface features of the landslide, Caltrans was able to determine the influence of the excavation on the stability and mobilization of this existing but dormant landslide. In order to address the threat posed to the work area by the mobilized slide, enlarging the excavation is proposed. Enlarging the excavation will require disturbing ground that has previously been undisturbed, and the influence of those effects on slope stability are difficult to determine. Additional geotechnical information is needed to accurately assess the stability of the excavation and the surrounding ground. 3 additional slope inclinometers are proposed above the proposed enlarged excavation area. The information collected in these slope inclinometers throughout the winter, in addition to the rock core collected in the borings, will be used to assess the geotechnical site stability of the excavation and the surrounding ground. One unique challenge facing top-down landslide removal projects along the Big Sur coast is the presence of existing active and dormant landslides, as has been experienced at Regent Slide. The stability of those existing active and dormant slides can be affected by the excavation work, leading to larger slope stability issues that also must be addressed with the project. As winter approaches, Caltrans and the contractor are preparing the site to withstand the effects of the rainy season and the decreased slope stability that comes along with the rain. The information collected in the geotechnical investigation and subsequent monitoring program with the slope inclinometers and site observations will be used to assess the site stability including the effects on the existing landslides that are abundant in this area. The department remains committed to completing the project, removing the displaced slide material, and opening Highway 1 as soon as it is safely possible to do so.
So, I know we're going to have discussion, but essentially, there was a slide that was there, and now it is a mobilized slide. And so it's time for us to really pause and evaluate with the measuring tools. And since the tools have been in, it has continually moved. Some significant spots, especially, it has moved. So it's at this point we're taking in as much data as we can. The work is continuing up there. The engineers, the geotechnical engineers, and all those associated, the contractors, everyone involved is taking a close look at the area to evaluate what is our strategy, so that once that strategy is defined and a safe plan can be put forward, safe for our contractors, safe for the workers, safe for us, and safe for everyone around, really. And you all saw the visual, how large this new area is. So that's where we are today, is we are at the point of investigating and trying to put into place a strategy and action, what we need to do moving forward. So I'll just pause with that. There's probably some conversation that.
Thank you, John. I'm sure that this is probably the biggest technical issue that Caltrans has on its plate today, without any question. And I'm just curious, is there any projected timeline at all with this?
At this point, we don't have a timeline. I mean, this is our new big slide. It's funny to say new because it's been there, it's been dormant, but this is our new focus. And every day there are people up there working in different fashions. So even though the tractors aren't moving, there is a lot of work that's still going on. So we're evaluating now so that we can in the future be able to come up with a timeline that we can share.
Thank you. I'd like to go now to the BISMAC members and see if anyone has any questions or comments. Martha?
Just a comment. I was reading the article about those Rancho Palos Verdes down in LA that has the problem and the whole neighborhoods are slipping and falling away. And it's the same thing they talked about there, I believe, is 1928. There was an old slide, and that's causing problems with all the stuff now. So it was just putting it into perspective, what you said about, the old slides, the new slides, and as far back as then, it could cause issues. So that was all.
The thing that always strikes me is the thought of the site stability, because we have to build a bench for people to work on. And when you saw the part about the two chutes and the rocky, blocky area, but before this surfaced, you all know Kevin Dubinsky, Kevin and myself, we were standing on that rocky, blocky area, and we were right in the vicinity that is now retreated, and that was above the slide. So that's just the point, is we cannot have a slide above us when we're doing our work. So that's why we pulled up, and we're trying to figure out and design exactly where this action is so as to know where to start to begin our new work.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments from board members? Any questions or comments from the public?
I have a comment.
Yes.
Have you analyzed whether or not top-down slide work is, in fact, the best solution to that slide? Are there any other options on the table? I mean, we're talking an indefinite closure of Highway 1 at this point, and this is going to cost the state millions, billions of dollars. Not having an open highway throughout Highway 1, yeah, it's a huge inconvenience for me and for everybody that lives there, but this has an economic impact that impacts the entire state of California. Not just on the money that you're throwing into this project, but on the revenue that you're losing every single day. Millions of dollars from San Francisco to LA and every town in between on Highway 1.
Just to follow up on your comment, which is absolutely correct, I also know that they say that when that road is closed, our road is closed, it impacts tourism nationally, because there are many companies that want to come over and they'll do New York, et cetera, from different, Asian countries, et cetera. And they're looking someplace else now.
Absolutely. It has a ripple effect across this entire country, but I mean specifically California. But yeah, I can believe nationally as well. People come from all over the world to drive Highway 1, and they haven't been able to do that for 3 years. And it's a huge impact for not just me, all of us.
Thank you. Thanks for your comment, Bree. Any other comments from the board? Okay, is there any member of the public who wishes to make a comment? We have two over there. Okay, great. Go ahead. And state your name too, if you
Hi, this is Bruce Merchant. I'm a North County resident, or North Coast resident. two questions. First, I'd love to show that video to people. Is that available on Caltrans website?
It's at this point, it's not. I mean, this is our first showing, really, of any public venue. We just finished it a few days ago. You know, it probably still needs a little more refinement to help, but with today's meeting, it was really important to us to be able to bring this information. So nothing is available yet, but it's possibly at some point it could.
Yeah, we'd like that. Second question, and this is a non-professional asking a professional. There are areas in Highway 1 where you've installed viaducts, which I think of as a one-sided bridge. The inland side rests on the coast, on the rock, and the other is supported by pilings. I know you've done a tremendous amount of work there already. Would a viaduct be a potential solution for this? I realize it would be going back to the drawing board.
I myself am also not I'm a non-technical person in general as well. However, when you saw the slide material that's there, I don't think we know exactly if that can be done. The top-down approach is still the approach that needs to happen because of the loose. There's no land to attach anything to at the moment. So as the work continues and as evaluations continue, you know, all the right minds are on it to try to find the right solution.
Yeah, I expect. All right, thank you very much.
Yep, thank you.
Marcus Foster, Big Sur resident. Two questions. Well, one's a question, one's kind of a hypothetical. One, there was a rumor I heard, and perhaps it is just that there was a Indian burial site that was discovered on the top that could further delay repairs. And then second, just for going out in the future when we have potentially in another location, I'm not saying this is it, but that top portion is obviously private property. I don't know if it's Gambo or Big Creek. What if the private property owner said, you know, I don't want you excavating my property? Is there some sort of thing with Caltrans that has eminent domain on that factor? And how do you get permission to go onto private property to do work like that?
I guess I would respond by saying, I mean, we have been collaborating a lot with all the neighbors, and we've had a good relationship with all the neighbors. So that's not been an issue. We all certainly hope it doesn't become one, but so far the neighbors have been, you know, we've been looking out for each other in a lot of respects as well. So I think the partnership on that and everyone's been friendly so far. So we appreciate that. As far as the first question, part of our teams that are up there are also those who carefully monitor the cultural heritage sites. So they're within our arm's length as well. So as that need arises, we have the right specialists that are there too, to keep an eye out for those things. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Without any other comments from the board or from the public, I'll just end it by saying thank you so much. I think this was really eye-opening, at least from this side of the table. And I'm sure others have really benefited from it as well. And I really support what Prasad had said, that if you can have it available to have a bigger audience, I think it would really do us all a lot of good.
Certainly.
Good.
And we appreciate getting a chance to show this. You know, as I've said before, as kind of my comments from my roundtable, I'll just say it now, is that communication with everyone it's really important for us. And so we're glad to be here. We're at the byways. We have our regular meetings. We have our press releases. We have our social media. And, you know, the thing about this video is this is a snapshot in time, and things are changing very rapidly. So what's on this video today, it could be an entirely different story tomorrow.
Right.
So that, just to put it in perspective, that this is the dynamic changing nature of what we're dealing with out there. And just as a reassurance, that the best minds in this business are every day thinking about this. And between our contractors, our engineers, our specialists, everyone has their mind on this, and we are committed to doing what it takes to get this open. In as much as I don't know if most have probably seen the CBS Nationwide story that aired a few weeks ago with our Caltrans director as well, on site being interviewed by national CBS, making the same message. We are open to keeping this. We are committed to keeping this road open and doing the things that it takes. So thank you.
And thank you again. I feel like we were the audience, and I really appreciate your doing this for us.
I just add
Thank
that
you.
the video should be available on the meeting video as soon as that's out as well. So for people who want to see it, you could have your associates pull up the meeting video for this meeting and have an opportunity to see them.
Have it embedded with the link. We'll see if that would.
That's
be
probably
available.
what happens.
Yeah,
Again, it's a stamp in time, so
exactly.
what you see is what's happening as of, not even a week ago. So, but next week things could be
Right.
entirely different too.
Right, good. Thank you very much for that. Okay.
I don't think you actually answered my. Sorry, whether or not any other ideas are being floated as far as reconsidering the top-down approach.
A lot of alternatives have been on the table and under discussion, but right now we're in that evaluation phase because we have to know what kind of mountain we're dealing with and what's going to be left as the slides. And we have to give an eye to what's going to happen, as you saw in the video, when the rainy season comes. It could be a completely different look there. So we have to know what is there to engineer and design for. And because things are moving right now, we don't know what that looks like, but the alternatives have been discussed. Like we are looking at whatever we can as the best choice to bring it down, because it has to come down. It is coming down. As the older picture shows, it is a slide that has been there. And of the coast, this is one of the, you could say, the most active areas in the coast as well. So there have been slides before, there's this slide, and now we have this additional one that we're contending with. So we're definitely in that phase of just evaluating and trying to see what is the right strategy. And you have access. We're not hiding. You've always had access to us. And as we know things, we'll definitely share it.
Thank you. Good. Okay. All right. So with that, I'm going to close this item and move on to our next item, which is old business. And the first thing we'll do is get an update on the Nacimiento-Fergusson Road. And I'll just make a couple of quick comments. We know after the storms of 23, we are finally going to be able to reopen Nacimiento-Fergusson, which is a big deal. And I'm always in awe of how resourceful and supportive the South Coast community and all is when the road is closed. I want to thank the contractors, the engineers, but especially you guys for all the work to get the road opened again. That's a major connecting roadway. So for service, I am very thankful that you're with us, and I am looking forward to hearing your report.
How's this sound? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Is that good? Okay. Thank you, Supervisor Adams, for that, queuing that up. And we are also very excited to be able to complete the work on this and reopen the road to the American public, because that is one of our principles of providing public land access for the National Forest, and also for all the local community members to be able to enjoy and utilize the lands. So as you may have heard from previous updates, we've had all the road work completed, the engineering work, construction work. Right now, we are finishing up the felling of hazard trees. And so that when that road is open, people can go through and not be worried about having a tree fall down on them or to trap them. And will also help with maintaining access during emergency incidents. And so that's ongoing. We have, we're working with Monterey County to replace the existing damaged signs and to install new signs and to repair potholes that have shown up through time in other places. And then the final piece of this puzzle is that, things have been growing out there and over the last few years, brush along the road, which really hampers the line of sight. And when you're coming around and, sometimes the area is curvy and difficult to see beyond the curve, we want to make sure that that is clear so that people can drive safely and navigate the road. So currently the Forest Service does have equipment to be able to accomplish that work, but it's down. We've ordered the part and it's been back ordered. So we're trying to look at other options because we really want to get this open as soon as possible. And so we have been in discussions with Monterey County. We're looking at other alternatives. If anyone has other ideas for assistance, we definitely welcome them. And just seeing who we might be able to partner with that has brush equipment, because it's not suitable to put people in there with chainsaws because of the density and the slopes. It's very hazardous working in that type of brush with people. So we need machines, and that's something that we're trying everything we can to finish up. And then I think the timeline is still have it open by the end of September. Is that still the plan, Finn? Yeah. So that's our current plan.
Hello, everyone. Finn Eifert, District Ranger, Monterey Ranger District. Thanks for that, Jeannie. Yeah, the timeline is still targeting the end of September here to reopen. One thing I'm looking at is how we can open it if we can't finish the brushing, and what can we get done to make it as safe as possible, and then perhaps a soft closure to finish it up. But right now I'm working closely with Monterey County and 400 Liggett on other options to get the road brushed before the end of the month.
So at this point, though, people can traverse the road or no?
Not at this time. The road is still
We
closed
still had to
except for
close it.
resident access.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was confused about that. In my dreams. Okay. Any other comments on Nacimiento-Fergusson? Any member of the committee rather want to?
I have some comments, but I can save them for my own report.
Okay.
I could do them now, whatever you prefer.
Why don't you save them for your report?
Okay,
So we
sounds
can go
good.
forward then. Anybody else? Any member of the public who wishes me comment on Nacimiento-Fergusson?
Yeah, two key agencies that want access. That's their whole thing, is access. The third was CHP, and I think they came out and took a look at the road. The residents in the South Coast are concerned with what we saw before the closure. I think about 2,000. We have road counts that showed almost 1,000 cars a day on weekends going through that area, and 3,500 per week going through Nacimiento. That was with Highway 1 open. So we're very concerned is what it's going to look like with Highway 1 closed and everybody on their cell phone showing access. It's going to be a crowded place. The asphalt was damaged in the repair work. It's kind of like a ski mogul in places. So we're a little concerned about that and just how safe it is. So anyway, that's what we've conveyed, and I think Bree will take it from there.
Thank you. And would you mind saying your name so we have it?
Tom Collins.
Great.
I live on the South Coast.
Yes, you've been so active with this.
Can I?
Yes.
So thanks, Tom, for that comment. And we're also curious to see what the use will be on this road once it's open. And we have been able to staff up, with more recreation staff in the area. And when we have people available, including law enforcement, we will do our very best to be able to provide people out there to be able to monitor, educate, even, enforce if needed. But we just want to thank the community for their patience and grace in working through this. We know it's been a long road. And we appreciate Congressman Panetta's support of the project. And we're just really hoping to get this open soon.
Thank you so much. Okay. She can't stop herself.
Now just seems like a good time. Sorry. Okay. So yeah, I did want to just echo what Tom brought up about Nacimiento. There are a lot of concerns about the people specifically who live up Nacimiento and use that road to get to and from town or work. And in particular, the main thing is that, navigation apps, once that road opens, are going to direct people to use Nacimiento, but they're not going to necessarily warn them or let them know that Nacimiento is a single lane. I mean, it's technically 2 lanes, but there's no lane separators and it's narrow. There's blind curves. As you mentioned, there's a ton of brush in the road. The asphalt's damaged. There's very little shoulder. So I guess what I'm hoping is that both Forest Service and CHP will take those into consideration and put signage at the entrance, both entrances, like this is not recommended for, you know, big trucks or trailers or motorhomes even, I think could be problematic. Like there is at the top of Sycamore Canyon driveway, Sycamore Canyon Road, right? So not everybody listens to that, but at least they've been warned, like this is a narrow road. This is not the shortcut. So I hope that's something you're considering. And also, I do want to thank you guys so much because throughout the entire rehabilitation program, getting Nacimiento fixed, the Forest Service and the construction companies that you've had on that job have been so worked with the community, and we're so open with you know, scheduling when it was going to be closed, when it was going to be opening, keeping the community informed and allowing the most access they possibly could so that people could continue to live their lives. It was really an exemplary project. I think you guys set the bar for every other project that goes forward on a road or a highway here, like working with the community, speaking with Tom Collins and making sure that he was both representing the community and also providing insights for the construction crew. It was great. And I want to commend you for doing that. That was.
Thank you so much for saying that, Pri, and I think we really appreciate it so much.
Thank you for that and for acknowledging that. And I know sometimes when tensions are high and things are not going the way we all want, it's easy to focus on the negative. And so I really appreciate you, Bree, taking the time to call out the positive. And to your point about signage and the travel types of vehicles recommended for that, we'll definitely look and talk with our engineers to see what's going to be. I don't know specifically what signs are being put up there, but we'll definitely talk with them and see about getting some informational signs up there. Yeah, thanks.
Great. Thank you so much for your additional comments. It was a perfect time to give them. Okay, so with that, we're going to move on to our next item, which is a report from the Bixby Bridge Emergency Task Force, an update. And I have some comments and then we'll go to the committee members. We're just all really thrilled for a couple of things. And if those of us who came from the north today, I hope noticed this, that we had put through a board referral that we submitted to county staff, Public Works, and the County Housing and Community Department Development worked on prohibiting parking on the county road, the Old Coast Road. So to do that, to get that accomplished, my colleagues and I had to pass an urgency ordinance to prohibit parking on Coast Road temporarily during the length of time that the Rocky Creek repairs are in place with the signal light. The next step that we had to do was issue ourselves a coastal development permit. That was really hard because this is within the coastal zone. And after a 10-day appeal period, our partners, the Coastal Commission, did not provide comments, so we had the green light to move forward. Public Works contracted with a local contractor, with Don Chapin's company, and with support from another local company, Granite Rock Construction, installed the K-rail that is going to be covered with erosion control blankets to minimize the visual impacts. Then we had to update signage to prohibit parking in the universal symbol, "Do Not Park." The signage is specifically a symbol and not words because we know that we have many international visitors who visit Monterey County, and particularly visiting Big Sur at the Bixby Creek Bridge. So the sign had to be more accessible. So this was all part of a phased approach, as you all know. The community members of Big Sur just have suffered with the gridlock and the unsafe condition of the intersection of Bixby Creek and Bixby Creek Bridge and the Old Coast Road. So this is a country road and it's a county responsibility. And so we were able to listen and respond to the outcry of neighbors, although it took us a long enough time to get everybody on board to be able to do that. But there's been such a burden on the local residents at that area. And I want you to know that we heard you, and it's been very difficult not to be able to respond as quickly as we wish that we could. But at this point, I think what we have accomplished is that we are able to go a step forward in responding to the concerns of the local residents, and also not changing the nature of the road or the infrastructure. So it's still a single lane dirt road, but it just happens to be next to Bixby Bridge, which is one of the reasons why we have so much difficulty. But I just want to thank all of the people who partnered with us to get this work done. The California Highway Patrol, we had a separate contract with them to do some enforcement for us. Caltrans, the Coastal Commission, Assemblymember Don Addis's office, and a variety of other people. Planning Commission, the Monterey County Public Works Department really was very, very, very helpful to us on this. County Planning, the Keep Big Sur Wild, the Big Sur Fire, the cabs, just on and on and on. It took everybody, Big Sur Chamber and the Bixby Canyon residents. All of that collaboration is what resulted in our being able to make this happen. So our hope is that we will be able to have a dedicated officer at the Bixby Creek during peak hours. That's been a challenge for us. For the past 5 weekends, we succeeded with that. But it's an expensive proposition, and we took it from our, the district had a small budget, and we took that from the budget to be able to move forward. So we're looking for additional sources of funding to be able to continue the contract to have CHP on site at the time. Mauricio, I was just wondering if you wanted to add anything as a task force update. And I know you guys were absolutely instrumental in helping us get this done.
Well, thank you, Supervisor. And just want to, highlight what the supervisor mentioned is a lot of the visitors are coming out of the country to visit and may not understand the signs or what the sign reads. So from the K-rails to the signs, I think this is a good pilot initiative, and we're just happy to be able to help, whether that's garnering support through letters of support with state agencies and non-state agencies. We appreciate those letters, and setting up the meetings. We're just happy to be a part of this initiative, and yeah, we're excited to see the outcome, and hopefully we see a difference in the congestion, and yeah, just happy to be able to help.
And people's behavior as well. Is there anyone else that would like to comment on this? Of course, it's Mr. Foster.
Yeah, Marcus Foster again. So appreciated. We're actually trying to solve the problem there that keeps getting worse every year. It's a pilot program until the light in Rocky Creek is fixed. I actually think that the light actually helps the congestion because it kind of throws people in waves to Bixby. So if anything, it's going to get worse when the highway's open there in 2 lanes. As far as the next step, well, what I'm seeing already, I actually went to town yesterday, and you might see it on your way back. Driving to town is you're starting to see people park on the south side of the bridge, which is going to be problematic. People walking back and actually crossing the bridge to the main lookout. I think the next step, and I've reiterating what I've said in the past, is there shouldn't be pedestrians allowed on Bixby Bridge. There was actually base jumpers on the CAD this morning, on the CHP CAD. That's a growing issue. A lot more suicides. I know there's nothing you can do, and it doesn't get talked about for good reason, but there are, quite more suicides and people jumping off that bridge. But the pedestrian thing is a public safety issue. It's a 24-foot wide bridge. There's absolutely no shoulder. Any new bridge that gets put in California has to be a minimum of 32 feet wide. And the fact that we allow pedestrians on that bridge sometimes boggles my mind. Caltrans is so adamant about public safety on other aspects of bridge rails and things. I think they should take steps in making it where pedestrians aren't allowed on the bridge. I know that there's benches out there which make incentives people go out. Those are great in 1937 when it was built. So yeah, I think we're going to see some issues and problems, and maybe it might even get worse there with people parking up towards the Brazil Ranch and walking back. We'll just have to see how it goes. That's why it's a pilot program. And but I do appreciate that we're actually trying to solve a massive problem. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Deal?
Hi, everybody. Martha Deal. I don't know what capacity I'm speaking in. I seldom do. I had the privilege of being part of the task force, and while there's a couple of things that I want to make sure we don't forget about what Marcus has said, I think this is an opportunity to congratulate this body for actually doing something. We didn't just talk. So thank you all so much for that. And I know thanks are due to the supervisor. I just wanted to call out Mauricio because he has brought the group together, and it's a diverse group. The challenges of that area are that there are so many people and so many interests involved. It's like punching jello. But he managed to get a lot of the different voices together, and that's why this particular initiative could move forward. It is extra complicated because it's on private property. It's unlike the areas that are through the state parks or through the national forest where we have one larger entity that's the land manager. This has everybody. And I want to thank Mauricio for that. A special call out to Colleen Courtney, who never wavered and continued to put energy behind this. And I think probably was the driving engine in making sure we didn't get forgotten. I want to call out Randy Ishii at Public Works, the Director of Public Works of Monterey County, did some things that it's hard to explain, but his institutional knowledge was one of the reasons we were able to move this project through the process in a way that made it successful. And so you don't see him and you won't hear him. He hardly ever says anything, but thanks are very much due to Randy as well. And so the only other piece that I do want to bring forward at this time is that the Byways organization had an opportunity to meet after we heard that this was going to happen, but before it was implemented, and wanted to bring forward the notion that because we did something, we're trying something, we don't know how it's going to work, we're trying something, we're trying extra patrols, and I've heard that they have been helpful. We're trying this no parking initiative. The whole hope was by focusing on Bixby, we would learn lessons we could apply to the other choke points. So we want this group to continue to forward the emergency task force to help us address the issues using some of our lessons learned about how to get along together and solutions that might be available to address them coming the rest of the way through the coastum. And we all know Soberanus has got to have some attention. We know that Garrapata's got to have some attention. We know that Sycamore Canyon, top of Sycamore Canyon needs some attention. We know Julia Pfeiffer Burns needs some attention. And if we could get the highway flowing through those areas, it would go a long way towards addressing some of our over-tourism concerns, because I really think that's the main focus that people are seeing. So that to come forward with additional solutions is also really important. And then I want to highlight the comments that Rachel Goldberger is going to make about monitoring so we can take our lessons home.
Thank you. And this really is an appropriate time to give some special thanks to Fabricio, excuse me, because today is his birthday. Happy birthday.
Hello, Laura Shulkin. I live in Bixby Canyon. It's so nice to come up for public comment with nice things to say. So I had a few notes, and it's interesting. I did write them down before Martha spoke, so it's not that I'm just copying her. But the first is we already are experiencing a significant improvement with the way the work was done. And I would also say I really appreciate Supervisor Adams, your comment about the impact that this has had in the past on residents and the positive impact. I would also say that this is going to create a positive impact for tourists to get rid of all this congestion, the incredible litter that we are often picking up because of that, the interruption of view access. So I think it creates a more beautiful environment for appreciating the area for tourists, as well as a benefit to the residents that are there. The attention to the aesthetics was extremely thoughtful and not expected. The K-rail has been wrapped with this burlap covering. It makes it look like it's part of the earth or sand. They gave it a lovely curvature. It blends into the background. So the way it was done was just very, very thoughtful, and we really appreciate that. We do appreciate the comment that this will require enforcement, and some funding is being dedicated to that. Not to complain, we are very, very happy, but there were about 4 cars very happily parked right under the no parking signs as we came out yesterday, midweek in the afternoon. Kind of extraordinary. So some enforcement presence would continue to be appreciated. The last note that I had, which really does echo what Martha said, is I also want to commend the process. The idea of creating a task force that could do a laser focus on this area, come up with solutions, and then move them towards implementation is what really got this moving. We in Bixby know this is part of a larger problem and that this is a process that seems hopeful for addressing it in other areas. So thank you.
Thank you so much. And I must say that I neglected to give a shout out to Monterey County Sheriff's Department, who was also very helpful. And when they're on patrol, they have been coming down. So my hope is that we would be able to continue that as well.
Dan Pearlstein, also a Bixby resident, and also want to say that it's a pretty job and it looks good. And it, even with the few cars that were parked, they did not block access the way that cars did in the past when they weren't parallel parked. So I think it's independent of enforcement, a great thing. Enforcement is, of course, good. The last 2 little points I'll make is that among the effects that discouraging parking on the Old Coast Road has already, in the brief time the K-rails have been up, is it reduces the number of people walking across the road, because everyone who parked on the Old Coast Road walked across the highway. And so as a larger safety issue, not just for resident access, this is a very positive thing. And to my mind, a model for the other bottlenecks we have. The last, it's a small point, but I do want to say, since it came up twice, that US residents more than whole held their own in blocking the Old Coast Road. It really wasn't particularly a problem of foreign visitors. There were foreign visitors who did it, but U.S. residents hold their own, and we should be careful not to demonize in an age of demonization.
It was certainly not my intention. Thank you.
Thank you, Dan. Rachel Goldberger, Big Sur resident and representative of the Community Association of Big Sur. I just wanted to thank everyone in this room and those who were not in this room who were instrumental in being a part of starting to find solutions to the Bixby puzzle. So not only did it take all of the agencies involved, but it took local residents, it took the Bixby community, it took Marcus and his team at Keep Big Sur Wild, it took my team at CABS, and dedicated folks standing, looking, chatting, deciding that we needed to make a difference. And here we are, and something's happening. So that's really incredible. And it really does speak to the resiliency and the just the passion of the local community. I think that's a beautiful thing. We saw that a couple years ago when my team went out to collect data in a sort of informal way. Like, we didn't hire a traffic engineer. We just hung out for 2 hours on the weekends. We counted things like number of highway crossings, and those numbers keep getting repeated at these meetings. In the Board of Supervisors meetings, they've been repeated in news outlets. So while our observations are not necessarily professional, they are useful. So what I want to encourage is that we continue making these observations, because it's going to be really important for the emergency task force to have some sort of anecdotes and a couple pieces of numbers to lean on, so that we can see what kind of changes are happening, whether those are positive or negative or new. So I actually see some of you in the crowd. I saw you last night. I was on stage at the Big Sur Fashion Show modeling. Some of you were modeling and some of you were in the stage. And I say that because in this community, we all wear many hats. We do so many different things in order for our community to thrive. So I am asking you to put on another hat. And this one's pretty simple. If you want to join me, we're going to try to get every weekend covered in terms of making observations or collecting data at Bixby Bridge, just for 2 hours on either a Saturday or Sunday until it starts raining. So we've just got, hopefully, a couple months until it starts to rain, but just 2 hours, something like
2:30 to 4:30 is a really good amount of time to get an idea of what's happening there. I was there last weekend. Marcus was a part of this process a few years ago, and it continues to show up. Taking videos really helps. That's what really started just the momentum, was taking videos of what the impact is there. I'm going to have a sign-up sheet on the back table for folks who want to sign up to collect data. Laura and Dan, I see you nodding. Amazing. I'm going to leave my card out there, and I'm going to leave the data collection sheets, because it's kind of important that we're all sort of doing it the same way, because otherwise you can't really depend on the results. This is citizen observation. Thank you so much for this opportunity. And for those of you who can't sign up because you're on Zoom, you can email me at Rachel, RACHEL, @cabigsur.org, and I can get you all of this information. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your report.
Hi, good
Thank
morning.
you.
Andy Rosas. I'm the Public Information Officer and Commander for the Coastal Division of Monterey County Sheriff's Office. First, we wanted to say that we remain committed to helping the California Highway Patrol and the other agencies that patrol the Bixby Bridge area. As available, we will also still be sending our deputies down to conduct enforcement of the Bixby Bridge area. There is coverage being put out to the public. As early as this morning, KSBW was already running stories. The unfortunate part is all they have is the literature part of it. There are no pictures, there's no video. We've already talked to them this morning. We're going to be doing some video for them and sending it, but I also just confirmed that KSBW will actually be at the bridge after 12 o'clock today doing a story on that. So they'll be reaching out to CHP. They've already reached out to us
I truly just got a text from them.
yeah. So, and I did as well. So, we, whatever we can do to help, we remain committed to that. And I also encourage anybody that has social media pages. The Sheriff's Office will be putting out a post with videos and photos that I'll take on the way home today to not just educate our international community, but also, as somebody mentioned, our local community, because we all know that this is done not just by foreign visitors visiting, but also by local people. So whatever we can do to get that message out, the more people that get the message, the clearer the message is, and helps in the overall project. So we remain committed to doing that at the Sheriff's Office.
Thank you so much for your comments. I really want to dispel the notion that I am against international visitors. I don't know how that got started, but that's not where I'm coming from. Any other comments on this item? Yes.
How far down the road is the no parking ban?
I don't know the answer to that. Does anyone know the answer to that? Martha?
More or less a quarter mile. It's to where the turnout is for people to turn around.
Got it. It's about a quarter mile. They may. You cannot predict what American tourists will do. Thank you. Kirk?
Rise, Adams. So, something else, I'm sorry. No, go ahead. Okay. The one comment I just want to make was for certainly Mauricio and Colleen, but really to you and to Assemblymember Addis. What really differentiated this response was that finally an agency, and in this case, two agencies, really took ownership of the problem and used the support and the collaboration with all the other agencies involved. And one of the reasons that so many of the challenges in Big Sur take so long is there are so many individual agencies and stakeholders involved, unlike, for example, a national park where there's one landowner. And so the complexity and the interaction, and as often when you have multiple players, is who's going to say, okay, it's my problem, not just, well, it's a problem we all have to find some solution to. And I think this is a great example and a fairly rare one in recent years where we've seen two individuals at a staff level and their respective bosses really get behind, let's make something happen. And so I take my hat off to you, and I hope that this is a good model for many of the other challenges that we have going forward. Thank you.
Thanks very much for that, Kirk. I really just cannot thank Assemblymember Don Addis's office, and specifically Mauricio, because he and my chief of staff, Colleen Courtney, really worked hard on this, and it met with success. And I think once you have that under your belt, you're much more willing to just, jump in a little more. I think this is the first time in a while that we've had an assembly member who just totally understands and gets this part of the district and spends time and effort. So I think we're just very fortunate, and I thank you very much for that. Please pass on the regards to Assembly Member Addis. Good. Okay. Anything else? All right. With that, thank you. We will close that item and now move into the report from our member agencies. And the first is Big Sur resident, North Coast.
Thank you very much. One of the comments I had from Big Sur residents was, and I will quote, "Why does the Coastal Commission try to seem opposed to try and correct the parking at Bixby Bridge?" Well, it seems like that's not a problem anymore, but being as the person did ask me to ask that question, or at least state it, I wanted to do that. So doing my job. Seems like it's fine. Okay. Oops. Is that better?
Bring the whole thing closer.
How's that? Better? Okay. I feel like I'm speaking really loudly, but here. Sorry. Okay. I wanted to thank, first of all, Colleen Courtney. I had a friend that was having an issue with building permits and things, and I emailed Colleen, and she had one of her other, I guess, workers in the office contact my friend, and it was resolved. And I really appreciate that, Colleen, where I know you're here somewhere. Anyhow, so thank you very much for doing that. For our Grange, we have our AED in place in the kitchen. We were getting it at the last meeting here, but we have it now. It is there mounted in the kitchen with a sign out in the main hall that clearly indicates there is an AED in residence there. So we're quite excited about that and hope we never have to use it, but just in case, there it is. Also, the children's dance class has begun. If any of you have children that want to go participate in that, it has started again. We had a little party, I guess, for lack of a better word, to acknowledge people and their longevity as a Grange member. And we had cake, and Heather brought some wonderful sorbet from her plum tree on her ranch. So we had a great time. But the people there who we honored were Vicki Top, Issa Jenkins, and Soaring Star. Oh my gosh, Soaring Stars. Let's just go with that. All members for 35 years. Cindy Lou Summers, Nancy Sanders, and Alan Perlmutter, 40-year members. Penny Vergay, 45-year member, and myself for a 50-year member. I feel really old saying that, but there it is. So there's other things going on, but nothing I think I need to mention here. For our Historical Society, we have 3 new board members on there, bringing our board to 9 people. And Trey Kropp, Mark Sullivan, and Brooke Ewalson, St. Esther's granddaughter, are now on our board. So we're happy about that. Things are going well at the museum. I don't know, maybe a 3 weeks ago, a month ago, we actually had a banner day with 55 people on one day visiting. So it's pretty good. Our CERT team tomorrow is our last refresher. I see some people here that I hope to see tomorrow down there taking that refresher training. And then we have one final CPR class. So that will be it for our training for the year. We are taking over the operation of the disaster trailer that's down at the health center. It will remain there, but we're going to take over operating that and have gotten a great grant from the Community Foundation to help us get the trailer back in shape and outfit it and supply it. Carmel Valley CERT and Big Sur CERT got together and applied for grants, and we received every penny that we asked for. So it was just wonderful, and we appreciate that from the Community Foundation. Let's see the grant. And we also attended recently a traffic control class with Cal Fire in Pebble Beach, which was very well taught. So we don't do it often, but it's always good. It's the most dangerous thing they say is to be out there standing with cars going by you, as we know. So we feel a little bit better about that. In November, we have a joint training with all the other CERT agencies, location to be determined, but there are Carmel Valley, Monterey, PG, all the other CERT agencies. Will be meeting with them and doing a joint training. And as always, thank you to the Grange for allowing CERT to use it at no charge. I had, let's see, I addressed that. And one other question that came up from a resident was, when the smokehouse opened, I guess that's the title at Ventana, they understood that part of the permit or the consideration was to have restrooms open to the public there. And they wondered if, being as the place is closed, are the restrooms still open? And what is the status of that? And I actually tried to drive by there yesterday, but there's a big chain across the parking lot. So I decided perhaps I shouldn't go around the chain and didn't go in. So that was just a question here for if anybody can answer that or not, or if that was from a resident. And that concludes my report.
Thank you very much, Martha. And now from South Coast. Ree.
Hi, everybody. Okay. Well, I want to start by saying how grateful the South Coast residents are for the epic rehabilitation, their words. I'm paraphrasing from several emails that I received over the last few months. The epic rehabilitation of Lower Plaskett Road and Los Burros Road. The maintenance project is considered some of the best long-time residents have seen in over 40 years. And specifically, I've been asked to thank Randy Ishii and the Monterey Department of Public Works, as well as Papich Construction, who was the contractor for Los Burros. They both were really considerate of residents, and they did a really great job. And the whole project was done with really minimal impact on the people who live on those roads. And one key lesson, as I mentioned earlier, was how important it is to have a resident on hand, or a resident representative to consult in these projects concerning the South Coast Ridge roads. As I said, it's great for the community to be able to communicate their needs, and it's great for the contractors also to be able to get that local insight and resource. There are still some concerns, and this is more towards Forest Service. I know Nacimiento is going to reopen. I don't know the status of the South Coast Ridge Road, Alms Road, the top of Los Burros, and there are a lot of concerns from residents about the state of those roads. Mostly, I drove up there a couple weeks ago to visit friends on Pruitt, and there's a lot of issues. First of all, the water bars, I've heard over the last year, like the water bars are crazy high. And I was like, yeah, that's hyperbole. And I drove over them myself and I was like, holy crap, they're really high. And no, I have a 4-wheel drive truck. And the first one I went over within like 100 feet of the gate, I was like, wow, that was a mountain in the middle of the road. I put it in 4-wheel drive, and each one I had to go over sideways every 100 feet because I didn't want to bottom out in my truck. And that's one thing if you have a vehicle that can get over that. But if you're going to open that road to the public, there has to be some kind of vehicle restrictions, because you're going to end up with stuck cars. A warning to people who don't have, 4-wheel drive recommended, some way to notify the public that road they're going to get stuck if they're going to try and drive a 2-wheel drive vehicle over South Coast Ridge Road. In addition to the water bars, I drove up there and I was like, wow, these are crazy. And I thought, but maybe I'm just rusty. I haven't driven this road in a long time. And I got to my cousin's house and she's like, no, I'm having anxiety attacks every time I have to leave my house, because I'm afraid that, well, she's thinking about the future again. Like I said, of people getting stuck in the middle of the road. She's had to sleep in her car on her way home from work because she can't get through because somebody's gotten stuck on that road in a minivan, and they've blocked the entire road. And it's not reasonable for people who live up there to have that fear and anxiety. And then in addition, as much as the road is in, I know there's been a lot of work, but it does need some work before it's open to the public. There's vegetation growing down the middle of the road that is high enough to, reach the undercarriage of a car. There's a lot of brush, both in the roadway and then like in the campsites as well. There's a lot of fallen trees and branches, which is just giving people the temptation to build a fire. And I think that's another concern, is if those roads are opened in September or at the end of this month as anticipated, and we don't have rain, it's just setting us up for another fire. So that's just, I hope you guys will take that into consideration. And I know that you will, and you've been really receptive to us in the past, and we really appreciate that. And I'm just communicating the current concerns. The other thing I just want to talk about is that I really wish I could just express to all of you the stress and anxiety that everybody on the South Coast has experienced over the last year. I mean, Paul's slide was one thing, and that was stressful. Regent's slide is a whole nother thing too. Just this unending, no end in sight slide. It's just, it's been really hard. And the lack of progress. And I know that you guys have done what you can, but it's really frustrating for so many of us whose lives are divided. I work on this side, I live on that side, and I'm hiking to work every day and hiking home. And I know I'm going to be doing that every day this winter. And, my dad's had kidney stones and he's had to go around for the last 6 months. It was terrible timing, believe me. It's just, and I know there's not that much you can do, but I hope that you are exploring every single option, because it is a huge impact, not just on myself, not just on the community, but on the entire state, on the region, Cambria, Monterey, Carmel, and it expands outward from there to San Francisco, LA, the state, the entire country, not having Highway 1 open, as you all know. Okay, that's all I have to say. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Bree. And our thoughts are with you as you traverse every day, honestly. That talk about resilient. Boom.
Supervisor Adams,
Yes.
may I address some of Bree's concerns? Thanks for the information about the roads and the conditions out there. And I know that we're looking at assessing the additional roads, as we get those ready to open to the public, and trying to make them as safe as possible. Can you not hear it? It's on. Okay, I'll get a little closer. So, so one of the things to recognize, when we're putting in things like such as the water bars, those are in replacement of culverts and things that could get easily plugged and wash out. And so we know that they seem intimidating. I haven't seen them myself. I'll be upfront about that, but I have seen large water bars out in the woods before. And it's really important to take it at an angle and to, go over that. And, I think there's some education that we can do to the public, but we're not going to get everybody and be able to reach everyone. And then also with those water bars, as they become more well-traveled, they'll compress a little bit. But really the intent there is to dissipate the energy that the water that is above that water bar and take it and get off the road as quickly as possible. And given our frequent high intensity rains that we have in the area and long term, we just want to make sure that we're not undoing all of the work that we put into that. And so, but we can monitor the situation and see if there's tweaks, if we're experiencing problems. And definitely if you see issues out there, please let us know and we'll try our best to see what we can do to address them. So thank you.
Thank you for your response. Okay, Big Sur Chamber, Kirk.
Thank you, Supervisor Adams. Traffic and general business levels continue to be in a recovery mode since the reopening of the Rocky Creek lane slip out to 24/7 public access. Summer business levels, though, are running about 10% behind last year. So that's important to put into perspective, given that it's compounding the fact that last year was 30 to 35% slower than a normal year because of the continuing South Coast closures, or North Coast, depending on where you are on the coast. And that is, we're going now into 21 months of a continuous closure at one or more locations between Carmel and Cambria. To my knowledge, that's historically the longest continuous closure of the highway since it opened in 1937. So we are in a very different historical context that we're moving into. And as we've heard, there's an uncertain time frame as to when the highway is going to reopen to the south. The impacts are quite significant. They are increasing with each day. They are having an impact not only directly on the businesses, but of course, as well on the employees, the community at large, and the traveling public, and the tax revenues for the state, for the region, certainly the county of Monterey. And as has been stated a couple of times today, worldwide, visitors make decisions about visiting California based on the accessibility of driving Highway 1 along the coast. So it is we feel it very intensely here. No one feels it more intensely, I would imagine, than somebody like Bree, who has to traverse one way or another, or anyone else in that situation. And then secondarily, the closer you are and the more your business and life, in whatever fashion it may be lived here in Big Sur, is dependent on Highway 1 access, which is true for all of us to some degree. These impacts are very much continuing. The outcome, as we know, is I think hopeful. It's just not clear as to when we're going to get to that point. On an upbeat note, I would say that there's been a tremendous improvement on the quality and frequency of communication with the community stakeholders from Caltrans. I looked at my notes for this meeting a year ago, and that was my primary concern, was that we were getting inadequate and quite infrequent updates. And John in particular, as well as Kevin Drabinsky and Caltrans and State Senator Laird's office have really worked closely to ensure the support is there to provide ongoing updates. So the information is what it is. It's not always what we want to hear, but at least it gives us the ability to plan as a community and certainly as businesses, which is of increasing importance with the continued duration. We're really going again into uncharted territory, and if we're going into a third year potentially, hopefully not, the existential impacts for residents as well as businesses are going to become all the more significant. So it's a challenging time frame, but again, it's really helpful and much appreciated to have the department committed as it has been to providing ongoing engagement, and that I hope will continue, and I trust it will. My last comment would be to say that I found that video to be very helpful visually, but I'm very concerned about the notion that that video might be misinterpreted as something other than, as John described it, as a snapshot in time. So given the interest in seeing that video go out to different stakeholders, and of course it is part of the public record, and it will be used in whatever fashion people may choose to use it, I would just urge everyone who is looking to share that video to provide some context. And I think John's description is probably the best context. It's a snapshot in time. We just don't know yet what the future will offer there. That is being evaluated at this time. But the last thing we need is to have an alarmist interpretation that suggests something that's far worse than what we're already dealing with. So thank you very much, and that will be the end of my comments.
Thank you, Kirk. And now we'll have the Community Association of Big Sur. Patty?
Thank you, Supervisor Adams. So we'll start with disaster, being that's kind of the topic. Final distribution of disaster relief with the remaining South Coast funds was completed in August. 10 South Coast families were identified who continue to be the most financially impacted by the Regent slide closure. All funding cabs received in 2023 and 2024 for highway closures has been distributed out. This equals 689 grant checks written and $470,750 distributed. A big thank you to the Community Foundation for Monterey County, private donors, the Pacific Valley School GoFundMe campaign, and the CAB Stewardship Fund at the Community Foundation for Monterey County. Rainer Marks, our program manager of the Fire Adapted Big Sur, successfully completed a Big Sur pilot shipping program that was donor funded. This pilot included 10 shipping days and serviced 37 residential properties and 2 road associations. This will be the foundational program for a 5-year Big Sur shipping program with a grant awarded by Cal Fire. The total grant amount was $1,163,000. Rayner anticipates starting the first quarter in 2025, and this will be available to all neighborhoods along our 70 miles of coastline, including the South Coast. So we'll figure out how we'll maneuver with Regent Slide. Stay tuned for more details to come. Rayner's fireside chats are now scheduled for the first Wednesday of the month at the Big Sur River End and Mid-Coast Fire Station. Broadband for all. I did a little background on this and come to find out CPOA and now CABS has been working on this for over 18 years. So starting with Congressman Sam Farr. So what's great now, I feel we're at this point that it might happen. So CABS was awarded an opportunity grant from the Community Foundation for Monterey County to hire Kyle Evans as a consultant to collaborate with 2 ISPs on what infrastructure exists and the creative solutions that will be needed to get to the last mile installed and internet service to Big Sur. We are grateful for the ongoing partnership with Congressman Panetta and his staff, the Monterey Bay Economic Partnership, Monterey County, GeoLinks, SurfNet, and Cruzio. Community housing continues to be CAB's #1 priority. There is no simple solution, and we continue to take a multi-stakeholder approach with our ongoing conversations with Senator Laird, Congressman Panetta, Supervisor Adams, Monterey County Planning Commissioners, Monterey County staff, state parks, U.S. Forest Service Monterey District, land trusts, property owners, business owners, residents, and employees. CABS has hosted community meetings on the U.S. Forest Service visitor use management strategies. Collaboration is key to the success of these strategies. We want to thank Finn, Chris Stubbs, U.S. Forest Service staff, Congressman Panetta and staff, Monterey County, Ventana Wilderness Alliance, and the Big Sur community for sharing your voices with your boots on the ground knowledge, history, and stewardship. Please join us for our next North Coast VUM community meeting on October 23rd from 4 to 6 p.m. in this room. The topic will be Wilderness, Wild, and Scenic River Management Strategies, specifically the Pine Ridge Trail. A South Coast community meeting will be scheduled in November. And the last topic, CABS traffic counter. This monthly data continues to be shared with Monterey County and the Big Sur Byways Organization. CABS is working to put these numbers into a visual with details that will tell the story and the impacts of these numbers. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Patty. And just in reference to the last mile, essentially, I just want to make the comment that for a brief period of time in this meeting, we were kicked off the internet, so we were not Zooming. We have resumed, so we're back on again. And I must say that I just kept thinking, I hope this never turns out to be the missing 17 minutes of the Nixon tapes. But be that as it may, now we'll go to our Monterey County Department of Planning, Melanie Peretti.
Good afternoon. Are we afternoon? I don't know if we're afternoon.
Yeah.
Good morning still. So I'll go very quickly. So again, Melanie Beretti with the county planning. First, I just wanted to say, just hearing Martha, your comment that Colleen was able to help when there were concerns, on kind of getting through the permit process. I really just want to make it really emphasize with the community, please do reach out to our department. Feel free to reach out to me if you have a project or someone you know. Feel like you're getting hung up, especially with on the planning side of things. We are really doing what we can to try to address and where we have hiccups in our process and streamlining to the best. So please feel free to reach out to me, and we're happy to help the best we can. Yeah, absolutely. So wanted to let you all know, if you weren't following it, we made a major milestone at the Board of Supervisors. Thank you, Supervisor Adams and others. We had our vacation rental ordinances approved. Those will, in the inland areas, be going into effect October 14th. The next step for the coastal zone will be going to California Coastal Commission, and we are working on that submittal packet. There will be ongoing discussions. These are new regulations. And again, it will be pending Coastal Commission certification before they go into effect on the coast and here in Big Sur, but that was a major milestone to take that next step. We have our housing element update, the 6th cycle update that we've been processing. Staff was able to submit our first draft for to the State Housing Community Development Department for their 90-day review. We expect to get comments back from the state by the end of November. And then we'll be making necessary updates and having continuing conversations on that draft. Hearing the concerns, there are many kind of policy avenues where the conversation around housing in particular is coming up. I just really want to emphasize, while we don't have any particular housing sites identified in Big Sur because of how limited it is, we do really have a focus on the mouth of Carmel Valley. So I wanted to flag that for anyone who is watching and tracking that process. Our hope is, at least if we can get more affordable housing at the mouth of Carmel Valley, that might help alleviate some of the commute that workers do need to make who aren't able to live down here. So anyway, we will continue moving that process forward. More to come. We are prepared to bring forward our coastal Title 20 ordinance for accessory dwelling units and junior accessory dwelling units. These ordinances are to come into compliance with state law that has changed a number of times in the last as many years. And then it will also include, some minor updates to the Big Sur land use plan, which are moving ahead of the comprehensive update necessary to ensure compatibility between housing state law and Coastal Act state law. So those will be going before the Monterey County Planning Commission on September 25th. And we encourage everyone to track along. Which brings me to, for the Big Sur Land Use Plan comprehensive update, really just wanting to thank the community and really do a call out to my colleagues, Taylor Price and Katie Scariot, who really worked closely with the ad hoc committee of the Planning Commission to make sure that they were able to come down and have in-person meetings with the community and offer those as hybrid. I believe Vatsula Visuals, please tell me I'm correct, supported those as well. So it was a great model for us. We really want to thank the community for participating. We got a lot of great feedback. Our next steps in that process, we're taking all the collective feedback we've heard and we'll be returning to the Planning Commission likely after the first of the year, but as soon as feasible, with kind of a next iteration for community workshops and updates to that plan. So more to come, and thank you very much.
Thank you, Melanie. And next we have the Monterey Peninsula Regional Park District.
Thank you, Madam Supervisor. A few updates. Today happens to be the kickoff of the 2024 cross-country season at Paula Corona Regional Park on our multi-benefit trail. It's the first of several. This one's hosted by MPC, Collegiate Kids, and it's sponsored by the Big Sur Marathon Foundation. It's our third season, and hundreds of middle school, high school, and college athletes come out to run at Paula Corona Park. The Rancho Cañada floodplain restoration project is well into the planning and funding process, having reached the $35 million goal. Representative Panetta and his team have joined the Park District, California Coastal Conservancy, NOAA, and the California Wildlife Conservation Board to celebrate the successful funding. Congressman Peninsula was out on July 12th to celebrate that and thank the partners. Groundbreaking for the restoration will occur in summer of 2025. Our Park-It program, the Park-It shuttles to alleviate traffic in the Point Lobos, Carmel, mouth of the valley area, had a tour on the 27th, July 27th, with 2 van loads of interested parties and partners driving the route that will be in place for the Park-It program. And there will be another on November 23rd. You can sign up, get more information at parkitforparks.com. So we're glad that's moving forward. The Park District is continuing planning for wildfire mitigation projects at Garland Park, along Garza's Road, and our Rancho Loop Trail in Garland. There's eucalyptuses there. They're quite fire prone, and a lot of brush along Garza's Road. So we're beginning that process. And lastly, we began our winter preparations at all our parks, especially Paula Corona and Garland Park.
Thank you so much for that update. And now we will go to the California Coastal Commission, and we have Braylon Ammon.
So the commission's September meeting is being held in Monterey and ran from Wednesday through today. Central Coast items were heard yesterday. There were no items that directly related to Big Sur, but there was a big project in unincorporated Monterey County up in the north. Monterey Salinas Transit had proposed to construct a new dedicated busway to enable buses to bypass Highway 1 traffic between Marina and Sand City, and the commission approved that project yesterday. Commission staff continue to coordinate with Caltrans, Monterey County, state parks, and other partners on forthcoming projects in Big Sur. Commission transportation staff recently authorized an emergency permit for work at the Rocky Creek slide and are working with Caltrans staff on a range of other projects, most of which relate to permitting for various landslides and slip outs along Highway 1, including the Regents situation that we discussed earlier. That's it.
Thank you so much for your report. I know we had a strong contingent of people who came out to speak about the surf, the transit, and I was very happy to see that it passed. So thank you for all the help that you provided to all of these items.
Yeah, thank you. It's a good outcome.
Thank you. Now we have Caltrans, John Olenek, the man of the day.
Thank you. And, just the theme that we started before about Regents, as we've said before, we are absolutely committed to reopening Highway 1. And what's happening there is we have to bring the slide down to know what's even there left so that we can evaluate strategies. And so, when you think of the amount of material, there are boulders that are the size of vehicles that are coming down. And so we can't work below that. So that the safety of our workers is really what helps drive a lot of the decisions too. So, but that doesn't, that isn't slowing us down. So things that we can do, even while we've had to retreat above the slide, there's a lot of work we're still doing. So just reassuring everyone that the work is continuing. We have to bring the slide down to the bottom to know what's there, to know what our strategy is, and to know how to move forward. But from the top of the state government down to, Darren and I who are sitting today here in this room, it's all on our minds, and everyone back at our office involved with this. It's all on our minds to work as quickly as possible. We meet multiple times throughout the week discussing the Regent slide. We're communicating closely with all of our partner agencies, our permitting agencies that are involved, so that no time is wasted. So thank you, everyone, and appreciate everyone's continued support. We'll continue to collaborate and communicate the best that we can, and certainly open, if there's more ways we can share information, certainly open to that. So I'll pause there. Thank you.
Thank you so much, John. We all appreciate the effort that you're putting forward. And now we have California State Parks and Recreation.
Thank you, Supervisor Adams. Again, my name is Rachel Pitts. I'm a supervising ranger for California State Parks here in Big Sur. So I live and work in Big Sur. I'm filling in for our Monterey District Superintendent, Brent Marshall, who couldn't be here today, to give a brief update from State Parks, specifically the public safety side of Big Sur operations. We're coming off of a very busy summer. We had full campgrounds all summer long. We still have full campgrounds. every weekend this summer, we had to shut down our day use slots pretty early on in the morning. By like 9 or 10 a.m., we're shutting down the parks and kind of pushing parking out onto the highway, unfortunately. So we just kind of got through the summer working alongside our local agencies, Big Sur Fire, Caltrans, CHP. And over the last couple of years, we've been operating state parks with very kind of severe shortages staffing wise on the ranger side of the house. We have 9 ranger positions designated for Big Sur sector. And over the last 2 years, the max we've had is 3. So this summer we kind of got through the summer with just 3. So it was challenging trying to create a schedule with optimal coverage with such minimal coverage, basically. But we're optimistic to fill a few of those positions this fall. The way State Parks flies ranger positions is they kind of collect all the vacancies all year long and then fly them in October typically every year. So we're hoping within the next couple weeks to have our positions flown and hopefully pick up a few kind of transfers from around the state. If those positions don't get filled by current rangers throughout the state, they would then go to cadets that are currently in the academy, and we wouldn't see those cadets in the field until late next summer. But we're optimistic to hopefully get some more rangers working down in Big Sur soon. And let me know if you have any specific questions and I can try to answer them. But otherwise, that's it for me.
Thank you for your report, Rachel. I do have just one question, and that is, will the open slots that you have, those that you're attempting to fill, will they be housed in Big Sur?
Yes. So we have housing for our rangers. Typically, our positions are flown with housing. So we have 3 houses. So our staffing is always limited to the housing that we have. So we have 9 ranger positions, but we don't necessarily technically have housing for all of those positions. So we typically hire up to what we can house. And so we have 3 houses right now that maintenance is working on getting those ready for hopefully incoming
And
staff.
if people were to say, oh, I've got a place where the ranger could stay, is that a possibility, so that rather than 3, there would be 4? Or does it have to be state parks housing?
It's not required at all. So no, I mean, that would be amazing. We're always like looking at other options for sure. And looking at options for up in town too, and commuting in, that type of thing. Yeah.
Good. Well, I hope everybody heard that. Keep your eye out for workforce housing, right? Thank you. Thanks very much for your report, Rachel. And let's see, next we have the Monterey Bay National Marine Sanctuary.
Thank you. This is my first time here. I'm Lisa Wonig, the Superintendent of Monterey Bay National Marine Sanctuary, and it's really nice that we get to be here. And this is a little bit of a shift from all the other presentations because I'm going to be talking more about what happens in the water. But I will start with the Regents slide that the Monterey Bay National Marine Sanctuary continues to coordinate with Caltrans and other agencies such as U.S. Army Corps, California Coastal Commission, NOAA Fisheries and the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, and the California Department of Fish and Wildlife on permitting and mitigations for the Big Sur Highway 1 on road repair activities at the 4 main landslide locations that occurred in 2023 and 2024 due to the winter storms. The goals, and I really liked what I heard here from John from Caltrans, and commitment is to get the highway open to all again while minimizing impacts to endangered black abalone and other marine resources from side casting of the landslide materials. So we're working with them, and I think we're trying to be proactive on the permitting as well so that we can do this as quickly as possible. At the June 2024 Pacific Fishery Management Council meeting, that council voted to provide protections at Sur Ridge. This is a large rocky feature located approximately 28 miles west of Point Sur. And it's a rocky feature that resides at about 800 to 1,500 meters depth. That's very deep. That's a mile down. So they're providing protections there from all bottom contact fishing gear. The Monterey Bay and Greater Fairlands National Marine Sanctuaries brought the request to the council to change fishing regulations in late 2022 to protect this area for the purpose of deep sea coral restoration and research. Our initial request included 10 discrete locations in 5 areas across both sanctuaries.
And the Office of National Marine Sanctuaries, listened to the fishermen's and enforcement consultants' input and concerns to move the protected areas deeper and out of valued fishing grounds, particularly further north. We had areas at Año Nuevo and Ascension Canyon. In the end, the council decided to only select the Sur Ridge area, a 50 square mile area where we will now be able to do deep sea coral restoration and research. And then finally, on August 22nd, Cal State University Monterey Bay hosted a ceremonial project launch of the construction of the Ted Taylor Science Building, which will house the future home of the Monterey Bay National Marine Sanctuary. Chairwoman Louise Miranda of the Ohlone Costanoan Nation welcomed the gathered officials to the homelands of the tribal nation. Thank you to Representative Panetta and who sent a recorded greeting, and the Biden-Harris administration's Inflation Reduction Law for the $7 million to build a climate resilient facility for the Monterey Bay Sanctuary offices. The Taylor Science Building will also house state-of-the-art labs for mechatronics, engineering, and marine sciences. We at Sanctuaries are very excited to be co-located on the CSUMB campus to strengthen our relationship with faculty and students, not only in the Marine Science Department, but also other departments such as their Sustainable Hospitality and Tourism Management Program, Agriculture Department, and the CSUMB Watershed Institute. CSUMB is a minority serving institution, and this will help us build a workforce of the future. And we think that the construction will start January 2026 with the move-in of the summer of 2027. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And we're very fortunate to have the Taylor family putting forward the kinds of things that they do.
Yes.
Wonderful, wonderful for everyone. Thank you for your report. I hope that you'll come and join us often.
I hope so too. It's often on the same day that we have our board meeting, so I can't come.
Well, I'm glad it worked out this time. Thank you. Now we'll have the United States Forest Service.
Thank you very much. I wanted to start off with sharing a few updates on some of the work that our crews and our partners have been working on this summer. So I'm happy to share that we are employing and utilizing ACE. So I believe it's the American Conservation Experience crews that are working on trail work following the Dolan fire and being able to restore and reopen those trails and make them safer for the public. So they've been working on the Vicente Flat Trail, and they've also been working also with partners SCA and the CCC on the Willow Fire Trail restoration, such trails as the Marble Peak and the Tony Trail. And then also on the South Coast from October through December, work will begin on the segments of the Pruitt Loop and Creek Trail. So we've been very thankful for the work and the funding from those disaster supplemental funds to be able to get these trails in a safe and durable experience for the public. Also wanted to share that we are finishing up our first entry on 490 acres of the 540 acres of our strategic community field break. And we're working in concert with Monterey County Resource Conservation District to complete that on Skinner Ridge. And then the remaining acres are in the Little Sur area. But that access has been challenging, and we're working with our partners to try to find access to be able to get crews in and out safely to complete that work. And then once these first entries are done, we're going to be following up with second entry. So that's the burning of the piles, understory burns, and we are looking at that through into the future, and also pursuing funding opportunities where present to be able to complete that work and to be able to eventually hopefully get into a maintenance strategy with that, so that we can continue to keep those viable for our firefighters, for the public, and for our communities in these areas. And then also wanted to share, and the representative from CABS did a great job of helping to share information about our visitor use monitoring meetings that have been going on. And I'll remind again that we have the next meeting scheduled in the North Zone, October 23rd. And we are still working on pinning down the date for the South Coast meeting. So I just want to put that out there. And we definitely appreciate all the input and support and coordination from all of our partners, such as Ventana Wilderness Alliance, Parks Management Company, CABS, the state parks and residents, and helping to figure out how to create sustainable recreation opportunities, talk through these challenges and opportunities, and help to formulate a plan for the future so that we can continue to balance recreation use of the area with all the other uses and communities that are living in this beautiful landscape. As well, wanted to just bring a little update forward about the Nacimiento Station rebuild. So we have been working to pin down that location. We've been consulting with tribal partners and with Fort Hunter Liggett to be able to determine access and boundaries for that area, and also to ensure that we have a site that would be supported by those entities. We're working to confirm the site ownership of our current chosen site. And we are also, but we have determined that where we're going to be drilling the well to test for water availability, that is on the Forest Service land. And so we have been moving that contract package forward to be able to continue the progress of rebuilding Nacimiento Station down the road, which was lost in the Dolan fire. San Carpoforo Beach, we're working with California State Parks to develop and implement a plan for the protection of the western snowy plover as requested by the Coastal Commission. And we're also working to preparing to get symbolic fencing and signage to be installed prior to the plover nesting season to meet those requirements. And we know that the closure that we did there, did close that off to camping. And we are looking at opportunities to figure out where we might be able to accommodate other camping opportunities in the area, because we are striving for a preferred no net loss of camping opportunities, knowing that people valued that area, and it was closed, and we're looking to balance multiple use and find other places that would be more suitable for that. I appreciate the comments about invasive weeds that were made earlier by the public, and we are looking at opportunities in surveying and being able to treat weeds on the Forest Service side of the line. So please engage with our staff, and they'll be happy to see about future partnership opportunities to be able to complete that work, since weeds don't know boundary lines. And let's see, just checking my notes. I think with that, I will finish up there. Thank you.
Thanks so much. I must say that your reports are just so refreshing, and the openness and inclusiveness that you bring is really appreciated by all of us.
Thank you very much, Supervisor Adams.
Thank you so much. Okay, continuing on. Oh, it's my turn. I have a few things to say. Fortunately, Melanie was able to comment on a number of them, but just a quick comment about the short-term rental or vacation rental ordinance. I have been working on this since before I was sworn into office, and I cannot tell you how thankful I am that we finally have it done. It's got some clinks, there's no question about it, but oh my gosh, I'm just glad it's in the rearview mirror. Another one that I've been working on since I was elected was it's called the Scenic Road Protective Structure and the Carmel Lagoon issues. And we have a certified EIR and selected a project, which would be a mid-slope wall with sandbar management, until we're able to have in addition to working to find a home elevation program that could be implemented. This is not an optimum solution, but it is the best that we've been able to come up with. So we're working with the residents in the hope that we will be able to come up with a shared process where there could be grant funding, et cetera, to help with the home elevation programs. But, you know, these are houses that are in the flood zone, and everybody who lives down here knows what that means. So it's pretty difficult. Melanie talked about the housing element, and I'm particularly supportive of what Melanie was saying about the housing at the mouth of the Carmel Valley, where that could take some of the workforce, the pressure off people who are working in Big Sur, unable to live here. And now perhaps there would be a way that they would be able to live at least at the mouth of the valley and not have to commute hours to get back and forth. That's limited to Bree. She's the only one that commutes hours to get back and forth. But at any rate, just finally, I'm going to be hosting a tour of the county's Emergency Operations Center next week with the elected representatives from the cities in my jurisdiction, Monterey, Pacific Grove, and Carmel. And then at the county's Department of Emergency Management, there's a lot of interaction that takes place between the city jurisdictions and the county when it comes to disaster management. So it'll be interesting to have an opportunity to show that part off. And that's it for me for the moment. I think I mentioned this is the last meeting I'll be chairing BISMAC. It's been a real treat and just one of the best parts of my job. But I will be here for the December 13th meeting, and Congressman Panetta will be chairing that one. So with that, I will move on to Senator Laird, and I think we have Isabel who will be making a report on Senator Laird's behalf. Oh, sorry. I'm so sorry. I skipped over Mauricio. So first we go to the State Assembly. How could I forget?
Don't risk. Oh, sad. Hello, everyone. Again, Mauricio here on behalf of Assembly Member Don Addis. I'm just here to provide a brief update. So starting off with the legislature, the state legislature convened August 31st. That was the last day for both houses, the Senate and the Assembly, to pass any and all bills and vote on the floor. From August 31st to September 30th, that's the window that the governor has to take action on any bills passed. He can either sign them into law, veto them, or he can not take any action and they will be automatically chaptered into law. So at the start of the session in January, the Assembly member introduced 17 bills. Of those 17, 13 were passed successfully through both houses and made it onto the governor's desk. Of those 13, 3 were chaptered into law and 10 are currently pending, and they can be signed at any moment, but he has until September 30th. So we're hoping, fingers crossed they all make it. But just want to highlight one quick bill that was already chaptered into law. It's AB 1861. It's called the Pest Control Pierce's Disease Act. And this bill will help defend California's wine producers from Pierce's disease and invasive species by extending a crucial line of defense for our wine industry, building on a strong history of collaboration to safeguard our vineyards and support the ongoing success of California wine regions. So like I said, there's other 2 bills that were chaptered into law, and all of these bills are posted on our website. And one of the bills, the member's priority bill that's currently pending to be signed or to get taken action from the governor, is AB 3233. It's called the Local Environmental Choice and Safety Act. This bill restores local authority, giving communities the power to control oil and gas operations within their borders. This bill corrects the issue that arose when Monterey County's fracking ban was overturned by the courts, empowering cities and counties to safeguard their environment and public health as we move toward a cleaner future. So like I said, if you guys have any questions about the bills, feel free to reach out to me or visit our website. Also moving on, the member is the chair of the Central Coast, California's Legislative Central Coast Caucus. She was part of a climate bond working group, and in that climate bond working group, she advocated strongly for Central Coast, which often, because of the medium income, doesn't accurately reflect the community needs. She made sure that within that bond that the Central Coast receives equitable funding. So she was part of that, and is proud to have done that on that bond. Moving on to district updates. I want to say thank you again to Supervisor Adams' office. We're just thankful that we were able to help with the Old Coast Road, and the assembly member really understands the needs and the congestion that happened there. She has monthly meetings with the director of Caltrans, Scott Eads, and in those meetings, she elevates community concerns and receives updates from projects that are occurring throughout the district. We see Caltrans working extremely hard from Rocky Creek to the St. Francis Logjam, and of course the Regent Slide and Paul Slide. So we're just thankful that they're doing everything that they can to ensure that these projects are completed. Also, most recently, actually, the Assembly recently submitted a letter in support of the nomination to designate Point Sur marine protected areas as an area of special biological significance, which would essentially increase our coast protection of land-based pollution. I can share that letter with you all if you want. Just feel free to catch me afterwards. Also, she will be here in October next month. She will meet with local law enforcement, and it's more of an informal meeting to get to know those who are working here and get to hear from them. Also, she does plan on being here for the December meeting, so you guys will, won't be seeing me, you'll be seeing her. And I think that concludes my report. If anyone has questions, feel free to catch me after.
Thank you so much, Mauricio. Yes, Martha?
You just mentioned the Old Coast Road again, and I just wondered, is that road open all the way through? Because it was closed for a while on the far side of Sarah Hill. Does any of our law enforcement folks know the answer to that? If it's open clear through?
It is open.
All the way. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, now we will move on to Senator Laird, and we have Isabel Mesa.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Isabel Mesa, and I am a senior district representative for State Senator John Laird. Just to kind of touch on what Mauricio already touched regarding our legislative session, just note it was a 2-year legislative session, so that meaning that any bills that were 2 years are either now into law or pending signature from the governor or didn't make it out. So just that quick note, but Senator Laird did introduce about 22 bills, if I'm corrected. Out of those 22 bills, I would like to mention that SB 1097, which enhances inclusivity in the California's Military and Veterans Code by updating language to represent our militia and veterans regardless of their identity, was signed into law, as well as SB 1190, which provides a clear path for mobile home owners that are individual meter and meter permitting requirements and meet healthy and safety standards to install solar panel on their homes. He currently has about 12 more bills waiting on the governor's desk pending signature. And then lastly, as many of you know, my colleague Kate Daniels, who covered all of our issues in Big Sur, is no longer in our office. She is slowly transitioning into supervisor. So if you guys have any questions regarding staffing issues or you have any issues, please feel free to reach out to me. I do have some business cards and willing to share those. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Isabel. Okay, and here we go. Now we have Congressman Panetta's office, and we have Emmanuel Garcia.
Thank you so much, Supervisor. My name is Emmanuel Garcia, and Congressman Panetta put together some remarks that he wanted me to share with you all today. Although Representative Panetta was able to make the Big Sur softball championship game and had the honor of throwing the first pitch, he unfortunately is unable to join us today due to his legislative schedule. However, Congressman Panetta wanted me to be here to provide a brief update on Congress and the ongoing efforts to support Big Sur at the federal level. Congress is once again facing a appropriations deadline on September 30th. Without an extension, also called a continuing resolution, the government could shut down on October 1st. However, it looks like Congress will likely pass a CR to temporarily extend government funding and allow for further negotiations. Representative Panetta will work to ensure the CR provides critical funding for FEMA and extends certain Farm Bill programs. As the 118th Congress draws to a close, Representative Panetta remains focused on the work ahead. Specifically, the bipartisan efforts needed to pass the Farm Bill and the National Defense Authorization Act. He looks forward to keeping the Big Sur community updated on this progress. Locally, Representative Panetta continues to work with partners at the federal, state, and local levels for Big Sur. Representative Panetta is currently working with NOAA and the Coast Guard to move forward a new weather transmitter. As we have previously discussed, the National Weather Service has completed testing of locations for the transmitter in Big Sur and determined the Coast Guard tower at Post Ranch is the best location. NOAA has identified the equipment to be used, and our office continues to coordinate with federal agencies in navigating the administrative process needed to co-locate weather transmitters at the site. Representative Panetta will continue to push this project to keep it moving forward. It has now been 4 years since the Dolan fire. Congressman Panetta continues working with federal and local partners to invest $18 million in a replacement fire station that will ensure our firefighters have the infrastructure they need to protect public safety here on the Big Sur coast. As a proposed site on the east side of Nacimiento-Fergusson Road, adjacent to Fort Hunter Liggett, has been identified. Right now, consultation with tribal partners is underway for well drilling actions to identify and confirm a viable water source to support the new station. The U.S. Forest Service is working closely with Fort Hunter Liggett to confirm site ownership and identify an appropriate mechanism to secure the building site in preparation for the design-build phase of the project. Regarding Nacimiento-Fergusson Road, Congressman Panetta is pleased, as many of you are, with the reopening of the road. The Forest Service continues to oversee brush clearance. Representative Panetta is working with our residents here in Big Sur to ensure that our community concerns with road safety and the reopening of this critical road are assured. Lastly, Representative Panetta continues to track progress on the Big Sur St. Francis retaining wall. Caltrans received approval from the appropriate federal agencies to start work clearing this logjam and making the channel and State Route 1 more resilient to flooding. We are standing by to continue to assist in any way the local and state agencies in their work if it is ever needed. In conclusion, if you're experiencing any federal issues with the federal government, whether it be Social Security, IRS, or anything related to our federal work, don't hesitate to reach out to me. Many of you have my contact information. I'll be hanging out here after, so don't hesitate to reach out. We're happy to help. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Emmanuel. So that brings us to close to the closure of the meeting. But now we have the opportunity to hear reports from non-member agencies on issues pertinent to Big Sur. I feel like I'm getting some feedback here. And so if anyone from the United States Forest Service law enforcement officer wishes to speak.
Good afternoon, Jonathan Aries. I'm assigned here to the Monterey Ranger District. Fires have been down in the South Coast and the North Coast. Haven't ran into too many illegal campfires, so that's a good thing. It's probably a large part due to the road being closed. Nacimiento-Fergusson, I'm monitoring that opening closely, looking to be there for the opening weekend. Hopefully it's a kind of a soft opening as far as getting the word out to the general public, but if it becomes a problem, I'll be out there. As far as the adjacent roads, I'm aware that it's going to cause some problems with people taking not the appropriate vehicles, such as not having four-wheel drive. I have noticed we have put up appropriate signs saying, hey, four-wheel drive recommended. Down at Highway 1 at Nacimiento-Fergusson, there is a bright yellow and black sign that recommends, a certain length. So I can't make people look at that sign, but I can take the appropriate action, whether that's education or some kind of enforcement. I'm readily available to our partners if we get calls and issues on Nacimiento, whether it's accidents. I'm going to be there for illegal campfires. There's a lot of active hunting going on, so it's relatively quiet, but for the most part, I'm out there. Please reach out. You're more than welcome to come up to me. I don't bite. I'll give you my phone number and we'll help solve the issue, whatever comes my way. If I have ability to do it, I will. If I have ability to drive there, I will. Can't be everywhere. There's only one of me, but if I can, I will. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next, we'll have the California Highway Patrol. and then Monterey County Sheriffs, and Big Sur and the Byways Organization.
Hello, thank you. Officer John Yaris. I'm a resident Highway Patrol officer here in the community. I'd just like to thank you for allowing us to be part of this. Nothing really big to report. We've made it through summer without any huge issues on the highway. We are actively monitoring with a lot of interest the newly reopening Nacimiento-Fergusson road, as well as the impact that the K-rail will have on Old Coast Road and possibly out onto the highway as well. Same information. If any of you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me or my office in Salinas. That's all that I have.
Thank you so much. And now Monterey County Sheriff's Office.
Good afternoon. My name is Eddie Anderson. I'm the Chief Deputy at the Monterey County Sheriff's Office. It's my first time attending this meeting. I've been reassigned. We had a change of assignment from admin, and I'm the Enforcement Operations Bureau Chief. It's a pleasure being here. Very refreshing, actually, because over my 27 years, I've been a part of a lot of community meetings where community brings their concerns to us, but sometimes there's a lack of follow through by the community. And I see here that you guys have all come together and are actually accomplishing a lot of positive things. So I appreciate all of you for that. And it's a pleasure meeting. If you ever guys ever need anything, please reach out to me. Thank you.
Thanks so much.
And once again, I'm Andy Rosas, the Coastal Commander and Public Information Officer. I wanted to share, in addition to our commitment to the Bixby Bridge project, that we continue to explore the options for a resident deputy in the Big Sur area. We have actually been approached by some people, phone, email, offering some assistance with locating housing. However, that housing or those options that have been given to us are further north. We're trying to explore options down in this area so that the deputy can be more centrally located to this particular part of Big Sur. So we continue to reach out to everyone that is watching and to the people here present today. We know that you have some networks with your emails and social media. If you can continue to help us put that word out, we would be more than happy to discuss any possible options. Just like was mentioned earlier for the Rangers, we too are looking for some housing options for a resident deputy. My contact information is available on our website. If not, my email is rosas, ROSASAE @countyofmonterey.gov. And my number is 831-261-5492. Thank you.
Thanks so much for your report. And next we will have Big Sur Fire.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Matt Harris, Fire Chief, Big Sur Fire. Fix that and stand up straight. As everyone knows, this is our 50th anniversary year. 1974 was when we were established, so 2024 makes 50. We are actively working on our strategic planning process, which is both challenging and enlightening. It will, like I've said before, involve many, actually all of you at some point. We're a little bit behind in my humble opinion, so we're working through it. So keep an eye out and an ear out for your turn. We've been working on some collaboration with FABS, as Patty mentioned in her report. I'm happy to report this is actually a really big deal, and it's thanks to county communication personnel, which you may not have had a part in, Mary, but we were actually able to bring online 2 more fire repeaters, which give us 100% increase in our fire communications. We have now a repeater on the South Coast. Actually, it's in San Luis Obispo County, which in its own right took a monumental feat to get, but that's Piedras Blancas. And we've also brought online a repeater at Glen Ranch atop Palo Colorado Canyon. And so with that, our communications have greatly improved, which has always been a challenge down here. As we approach fall, this is our fundraising season, or it's about to kick off. There's a couple of events, the River Run and the Ball Mask, which both benefit Big Sur Fire and also the Health Center with the River Run 50/50. If anybody wants to run it, I'm going to run it this year and have a little fun with everybody. As we approach fall, this is the height of fire season. So I just want to remind you as a public safety official, make sure that you have a plan in place in case we do. We've, like Jonathan Arias said, we have been fire free, thank goodness. However, that could change at a moment's notice. So make sure that you are considerate of your own plan for both your family, your personal stuff, and of course your animals. And then moving forward, as we look ahead at winter, I still owe a collaboration with Patty. We're going to work on a community emergency response plan, as I tend to sit as the liaison between the community and whatever officiating management team is working on the incident. And with that, just a couple little stats. We are at 159 calls for the year, which may not seem like a lot. It is down from last year, which a little bit less than 10%. And then 2 years ago, and as Kirk mentioned, we've been in a continuous closure for nearly 2 years. We're down about 22% since 2022. It doesn't take away, though, from the significance of any call in Big Sur and the toll it takes for anybody that's been on the brigade before. The toll it takes for any call in this area is immense. And with the, I guess, foreseeable future closure of Highway 1 and the reopening of the South Coast to a certain extent, our South Coast crew is limited. So keep in mind, we will be calling Cal Fire from Cambria and Fort Hunter Liggett to come help us from time to time. And my final word will be a huge thank you to Mary Adams. We will deeply miss you, at least I will. I think I can speak for everybody in the room. Thank you very much for everything you've done for the Big Sur community, but also Big Sur Fire. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Martha Deal from the Big Sur Byways Organization, the most popular speaker because I'm the last agendized person. I'm going to start out just with a personal thank you to Big Sur Fire for the increased communications in this Pala, Colorado area. That's going to save lives. That is just a critical step up. We couldn't be happier about that. So I want to thank you for that. My other personal call out is to state parks. They've been stationing a lifeguard at Garrapatta Beach during the busy times. It has not only, we haven't had a fatality there, which is in any given year a good thing, but also by modeling parking there, simply having an official vehicle parked at the Garrapatta State Park at the beach is really helping with the congestion there too. So call out to state parks for doing two things at one time. We really appreciate that. The Big Sur Byways Organization did meet this last quarter. We have a new member from the Highlands who made our quorum for us. We're very happy to be able to step back in. In our meeting, we weren't able to address some of the Caltrans projects that they had hoped to bring forward because it had been too long since the meeting and they were overcome by events. But just as a reminder, Caltrans has been coming forward with project plans in detail to the Byways Organization when they can. So if you're not on that list and you're interested in Caltrans activities, that would be a good place to get dialed in. And you can certainly check on anything with the Big Sur Byways Organization at the webpage, which rather than give you, I will simply say, if you type in Big Sur Byways Organization in your search engine, it will take you to that page, which has in it not only the meeting information about what's coming up, but it'll also have some of the foundational documents. So anybody interested in the Big Sur Land Use Plan, the Coast Highway Management Plan, the legislation surrounding scenic byways, and very importantly, the ongoing traffic counts from cabs, they're available on that website. So you yourself personally can go at any time and see how much traffic there was on Highway 1 at Mel Paso every 15 minutes, 24 hours a day, and be able to have some sense of numbers to put behind your perception. We're hoping to really work together to weave together that information to our decision-making so we can use it, especially to address the choke point issues. If we can tie them to a certain level of traffic, that would help us dispatch resources on a much more efficient level. So that's the kind of thing we're hoping for. One concern, besides the discussion that we had earlier about the emergency task force and encouraging that task force format from this organization to continue to address the other choke points. And we nominated Silveranis as the next most important one to look at for the obvious safety reasons. The other thing we talked about was the emergency repair, and the slip out at Rocky Creek is a really good example. Nobody wants to get in the way of speed. We want to let Caltrans do their thing and come forward as quickly as possible. And being nitpickers, we also have concerns about what goes back in there. And so during the conversation with Caltrans about the Rocky Creek slip out repair, we ended up asking what it would look like when they finished that viaduct. And we were told at that time that the plan is to put railings like you see in the 2012 viaduct, the metal railings, the style 70, which is going to be probably within 100 feet of the bridge. So, now that Caltrans is working with the Coastal Commission on the emergency repair, we actually took a quick vote to say that the community has been really clear that metal is not a preferred alternative in our area for cultural reasons. We are very concerned about visual, but we also have and are codified in our land use plan, in our Coast Highway Management Plan, that we prefer natural materials that would uphold the general aesthetic of the byway experience. So we were told at the meeting that the only things that wouldn't slow it down would be metal, that type railing like the one you see, stamped concrete, or the Garrapatta design that was brought forward as part of the Garrapatta railing. I think we took a little bit hurried vote, although I won't throw Matt Glazer under the bus. He was trying to get us to do something definite on stamped concrete. But my own feeling was anything but metal. And I thought it might be, again, this is a personal thought to the Coastal Commission, it might be a great opportunity to get that new design installed so that we can all see it in case it's our favorite thing. It's definitely a better railing with some kinds of ways to see through it than a solid, dressed up K-rail, which is what stamped concrete is like. But it we thought might be a way to set a new standard for a railing that would be appropriate in all these non-historic bridge applications to use throughout Big Sur to just kind of fast track that decision. But there was a good deal of concern around the routine decision to put in the metal railings. We thought that was something we'd like to highlight and bring forward. And now that the Coastal Commission will be the partner to go through these particular administrative functions, I'd like to advocate for the land use plan and the Coast Highway Management Plan to be consulted in that emergency context as well. Other than that, we'll have another quarterly meeting coming up. I don't even remember when, but the page will tell you. And we really appreciate the opportunity and couldn't be more excited to have actually contributed to this emergency task force thing. It's like we did something. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Martha. Okay. Are there any final comments from the public before we move to adjourn? Okay, with that, may I have a motion to adjourn? Oh, you're having so much fun, you don't want to adjourn? Yes, I'm from Melanie Beretti first, and is there a second? Second. Thank you very much. All in favor? Aye. Thank you so much. And we will adjourn at 12:40.